Righto, filming. Salmon! God, I hate that colour. Also, mainly because it's pink, but also because that's stuff that remains to be done. So we got all our external bogging done today. And the little bits of internal bogging you can just see through the window on tops of shelves in there that I wanted to get done. Which is good because I ran out of bog doing that, so I don't need to buy more bog. I'm out of caulking though, and I'm going to seal all the little cracks and bits of, you know, misfitted shelf and stuff on that bookcase with the cork, just because it gives you that smooth, sort of like here, smooth beaded edge. Once it's painted, it looks real nice, so I'm going to do that. Also, I've got my vent boxes on today, and the fans installed, and obviously all the cracks and edges and just everything needs to be coated in acrylic sealant to prevent them from leaking. Started sanding the roof, as you can see. Just got onto the walls, utterly knackered from doing the roof. Couldn't figure out why my sandpaper kept gumming up. And for ages and ages, but I don't know if you can really see in the video, but just in some of the sanding smears there, you can see kind of a brown tint. That's because the top coat on this roof is another coat of the acrylic that I was using for everything else. But under that are 3 coats of tar paint, like bitumen, which is great for waterproofing, but doesn't sand. Sands about as well as oil. So yeah, gummed up the sandpaper. So I just pulled the sandpaper that I threw out into the bin thinking it was fucked, back out to try sanding the walls where we've just got ordinary paint and bog on it. They still sand great, so I'm not going to run out of sandpaper. Thought I was. However, I am, as I said, out of caulking, so to complete the exterior once we've done the sanding, I'll need some more caulking. I've got bugger all black paint left, but I think I've got enough to at least patch coat the raw wood areas, old bits of recycled stuff like the edge of that thing there that's white, and just, you know, get everything sort of reasonably uniform, and then I'll probably go for an all over coat of sprayed on matte black, just because the cans are cheap and it's easy to use. So you know, I've already got my basic sort of thick coat of decent paint done, and I'm not too worried about surface finish on this one anyway so far, like at this point, because I think I might have mentioned in the last video that I'm going to go ahead and at some point do this idea that my bro's dad came up with, that I'd been considering as well, that we basically wet coat it quite thick with acrylic, the whole structure, or a sheet, you know, say this wall that I'm pointing at. Then we lay an old cotton sheet into it and then paint over top of that again. Gives a uniform surface finish that'll also help resist cracking in the wood and things like that. So yeah, not too worried about surface finish, but that'll be a project for, you know, in a few weeks or a month's time or whatever. So we're just going to finish it to the standard black wood exterior, like we did with the version 1 to start with. I'm pretty fucking knackered. I've got enough food and resources and things like that, but I'm out of cash. I mean, I do need to get some more caulking and a bit of wiring and stuff for, possibly, I think I might be able to recycle some wire from another project, but I may need some more wire and bits and pieces just to sort of finish out that interior. So what I'm going to do for now is over today, rest of today and tomorrow, I'm going to finish doing my exterior sanding, which is just morbidly tiring. Hand sanding sucks at the best of times. And then I'm going to take a break from this project, move my stuff and occupy it for a while working on little bits of interior fit out, like sanding those shelves and little bits of painting and caulking once I've got the caulk and stuff during next week and the week afterwards, as opposed to just sort of getting it all done at once, because I'm just really tired. I'm a bit low on materials. I want to have a bit of a think and kind of assess the structure as well before I go putting the insulation in and doing final interior fit out. I mean, obviously we've got other projects we can do, so it's going to be a sort of a long-term, ongoing project, sort of little upgrades that are cheap, you know, week by week. But thanks to my patron again, we got the primary structure done at least, and hopefully by tomorrow this will be all black as opposed to horrible salmon. So we'll go have a look on the inside. I haven't had a huge amount today. Here's the other vent box on. These vent boxes are a lot bigger than the old ones. Allows for more airspace. Basically, that was just there to shoot up, so I'll pop all that out of the way. Yeah, so that's our intake vent. It comes up here, and there's our wee fan. So it's facing that way. It's permanently switched on at the back. You just plug it in, turn it on. So that's our intake fan to blow air into the space. To cool down, we basically run that, and there's our exit fan, which is turning a little bit just passively in the wind. Sometimes. basically to cool the space down or ventilate while I'm say painting or bogging or doing anything like that. We run both fans at the same time. I'll install my solar panels sometime soon. They're just sitting in storage at the moment after I took them off the V1, so, version 1 of this. So yeah, run both to ventilate the space totally for fumes and things like that. If I want to heat this space and I'm gas heating at night, for instance, there's a fan spinning in the wind again. I put a gas heater here and turn this fan on, and then just turn the gas down to the point where we've got a nice blue flame with the oxygen that's being pumped in, but we leave that fan off, and what that'll allow to occur is basically there's air being pumped in, but it's only leaving passively, and that slows down the loss of air, because otherwise you're just heating air up and blowing it out. The structure don't really warm up that well. Obviously we'll also have insulation, and that'll mean I can run even smaller. So the experiments I did with run the gas for even less time. The experiments I did with the version 1, which is twice the internal volume as this one, I was able to exchange out air very, very rapidly with these fans, so obviously in half the space I'll be able to do it even better. And I was also able to heat that space very effectively up to 21 degrees with an external air temperature of about 8 degrees within about I think I did a 3.5 minute run, and that got me to almost 20, and then a 5-minute one got you over 21. And the only problem in the version 1 was we had no insulation, so we'd then lose all that heat quite rapidly. So this version will have insulation eventually, which will sort that problem out. So that's also, by the way, in case anyone's worried about me killing myself with carbon monoxide poisoning, how we avoid carbon monoxide poisoning. I have talked about this on videos before, but in case you haven't come across this stuff before, if you are going to use a gas heater in a small space, you do so at your own bloody risk. Don't blame me if you kill yourself. They do say for a reason on gas cookers and various other charcoal burners and things like that, not to use them in enclosed spaces without ventilation, or just in enclosed spaces is all like a tent. The reason for that is when you burn anything, so that's butane gas, LPG gas, what do Americans call it, propane, coal, candles even, what happens is the fire obviously is using oxygen to burn, and it produces carbon dioxide. If in an enclosed space like this with everything shut and no ventilation going, you use up most of the air in the space, or even 20%, 30% of it, what you then start doing is re-burning pre-burnt air, which is now carbon dioxide. So you're burning carbon dioxide. At this point your flames will go orange, not blue, if you're using a gas cooker and stuff, and you'll start getting a lot of that in there. Or even a reddish colour, at which point you should exit the structure, because that's bad. And at that point what happens is that carbon dioxide burns, strips another atom off it, and it turns it into carbon monoxide. I'm not sure if I've used the correct terminology there, but that is what occurs. So just running through that again, when we burn air, we produce carbon dioxide. When we burn carbon dioxide by accident, we start producing carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide is odorless, incredibly toxic. Your lungs will absorb it, but it doesn't really work as oxygen. And it'll kill you really, really quick. People off themselves by doing this. I won't tell you how to do it, but you can run a car in a garage or whatever and set it up in such a way that basically the exhaust kills you because it's carbon monoxide. One of the downsides of smoking cigarettes, like I do, is low-grade, long-term carbon monoxide poisoning. So I'm already giving it to myself, which is very, very bad for you. But you can actually die very rapidly in a small structure like this. So what I do is I never run the gas cooker. Obviously, it runs right beside the door in this structure, just like I did in the old one. We either have the door open or we have that fan on, or both. Never run the gas cooker without a supply of air directly next to it, fresh air coming in. Now the tendency, even if you're not using a fan, I'm going to go ahead and keep using it just for extra safety, but if you're not using a fan, the tendency is basically as you heat air, it convects upwards, and the structure will convect upwards and out towards that thing there. Now the tendency is as you shift that air volume across in this direction, you're going to create a semi-vacuum over here, which is going to suck more air in passively anyway, but it won't. I mean, I don't have gas sensors to check this, but I don't think that'll do that enough. So I always have the door open and or the fan going to supply continuous clean air to the burn. So we're burning oxygen, not carbon dioxide, and that basically takes the first step out of this process that eventually makes carbon monoxide. You can get a combination CO2, CO alarm, which is a carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide detector. Quite often people just get carbon dioxide detectors, so if you're detecting too much carbon dioxide in the air, that's at the point where you're at risk of beginning to burn it and create carbon monoxide, so it sort of detects some things. They cost here in New Zealand, I went and did check it out at Bunnings, they cost about $60 to $80, so it's quite a bit. It's a lot more than a smoke alarm. And at some point, I probably will actually go get one just to be extra safe. But I have done a lot of experimentation now running the gas cooker. The other thing I do is I do it for only very short periods of time. So we have a target temperature or a time to burn, and then we turn the gas cooker off. You never run the gas cooker unless you're up, alert, and doing stuff. Like, certainly wouldn't want to be like, oh, I'm in bed, but it's a bit cold, so I'll warm the structure up for a bit, because I might fall asleep while that fucker's running. And then, worst case scenario, my fans run out of batteries, they stop running, ventilation fails, yada yada yada, and I'm carbon monoxide poison myself in my sleep or something like that. So we never ever run the gas cooker unless I'm up, alert, and doing stuff. And there's a few other things like that I do just to sort of ensure safety. I'm very interested to see, actually, once we've got the insulation, especially, how much I will actually need gas heat in here. This is a very, very small space, so obviously the preference is to not take that risk at all, and just not even use gas heat, because it's the only effective form of heating I've got. Electrical heating of various types that I've contemplated takes far too much energy. I could cover this roof in solar panels and fill that space there with batteries, and I still wouldn't have enough batteries to really do electric heating effectively. So that's out. Candles, alcohol burners, anything else, they all run the exact same risk as a gas burner, basically, in terms of we're burning in the space. But fire, as always, is the most effective way to heat a space. Longer term, what I may look at doing is, because this is an open space that's just sort of mud room, you put your shoes here kind of stuff. My bed and workspace is going to be over in this corner. What I may do longer term is actually strengthen this area a little bit and get one of my steel working type engineering friends to build me like a little micro potbelly stove. Now, great advantage with them is obviously it's fluid through the roof, so most of the burnt gas is blown out with the smoke, and then you've got all of the chimney space coming up through here radiating heat on its way out, sort of thing. So that could be quite an efficient way to heat as well. But for now, we'll just go with what we've got. One of the upsides of doing that ventilation process, I've been talking about blowing in here as well. The second reason I do it is because obviously, if you estimate here, the gas cooker is sitting here, this fan is basically blowing a column of air straight across here, just above where the flames sit on the gas cooker. So if you sit like here, just on the other side of it, it's basically a fan heater. It works really, really well. It's quite cool. And that allows you to just sort of monitor things and keep an eye on it and do all that kind of stuff. Make sure the fan's running, yada, 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 yada. And as I said, we do timed runs. I time it on my phone of between 2 to 5 minutes, and then I shut down the gas heater. So I don't know how to. I haven't done any mathematics on exactly the air volume in here, how fast it's burnt, how fast we're changing air out, and various other things like that. I do know that with both fans running on the old version, if you smoked a tailor-made in the area, you could do so without it being a problem. So in here, that'd be even easier, because obviously with a smaller volume, same amount of air being thrown in and blown out, we're going to exchange the entire volume of air out at twice the speed, because we've got half the volume. So yeah, a few more things to experiment with that, obviously. Other stuff, internal construction still to be done. I'm going to take one of these pieces of board here and anchor it to the side of that shelf over there and into the wall, to allow me to brace up the section of roof that's got a bit of a dip in it, and we're going to create a high point basically right in the middle of the roof almost. That means water will run off anywhere but sitting in the middle of the roof, because obviously you don't want that to happen. I was just talking to Bro about it, and I think instead of just putting a runner straight across here, about halfway across there, I'll jam a little piece of ply in between the roof brace and the roof, to actually just ensure that we've got a bit of a curve going on the top of the roof there, and a bit of a dome, like very, very slight dome thing happening. Because upside of using ply, it's quite flexible. What else are we going to do? We've got more bits of wood over here. I still haven't gotten around to, see this little edge bit here, it's a combing behind the door. There's probably a correct builder guy name for it, but I don't know. That just prevents water from running in through here. It's all silicone sealed up. But just to make a neat join and cover all the little gaps in between the edges and things along there and down here, we're going to make little bits of wood just like this, run right up the vertical, across the top, and down the other side of the vertical there, so the whole thing hatches in tight. Which again means that we now have, unlike the V1, there are no gaps in the structure. Once it's complete, it's completely air sealed, except for the fans in the space. Obviously, we've still got passive. So basically, as soon as it gets a little bit warm in here, air will begin to passively flow out the upper section, and that will cause some air to suck in through the bottom. Which, I mean, in terms of condensation and fresh air supply for me to breathe and things like that will be fine. But it would be a risky proposition to run any form of flame-based heating in here without actively pumping air in with a fan, which is again why we've got that. So yeah, and we can always open the door as well, just leave it ajar, a little crack there, no major draft or anything, but you've got air space coming in, so got a few different options. What else? So most of my sealing up on the inside, like I said, I'm out of bog now, apart from those little bits that are through there. That's just some major dents and things that we've done. So any little cracks against the edges of shelves, or like that bottom edge here, there's a bit of a gap in there and shit where I cut a bit of wood wrong, or maybe the shelf was off angle, I don't know, I don't care. I'm going to fill all that up with acrylic caulking sealant type stuff, just because I like working with it and it's a bit quicker than bog. You don't have to sand it afterwards, you just make it to shape on the spot. And I just like how it paints and finishes up. So most of the interior will need to be painted, certainly the shelves and the roof. One of the things I realised actually is I might just sand the walls there and that one and over there to one side of the window, just give them a quick sand and then neaten up, but I'm not worried about them too much because obviously those areas are all going to get covered in insulation anyway, so I don't see why I should waste a bunch of paint on them for appearance, whereas I want nice white bookshelves. I may even do that in black actually. This whole section here will need to be sanded and neatly cleaned up and painted nicely, because obviously during the day our little roll-up curtains that are going to come up through there will expose a section of wall. But everything from about there, that way, is going to be exposed when the curtains are open. This way, on the other hand, again, which is fortunate because, God, that's just bodgy mess, isn't it? Is all going to be behind insulation and have eventually long-term probably foam jammed into the gaps and stuff, and some sort of, I was thinking about trying cardboard cladding or something like that maybe, something I can paint and draw on. But for now we're just going to try this duvet experiment, because the duvets were really, really cheap. Like I think I spent like less than $30 to get one big duvet and one smaller one, which I'm going to cut up and section out to staple into the frame edges to insulate the ceiling and all the rest of it. That's really, really cheap. I mean, equivalent amounts of polystyrene would cost me nearly $100. And because of the duvet stuff being quite thick, it's the standard cheapo Dacron duvets, or comforter if you're an American, blanket thingy. It's quite big and spongy, so it'll quite effectively trap air volume and stuff. Whereas polystyrene is sort of dense and solid, but it does come with the advantages. You can cut it to shape and push it into pockets like that, and you can then stick it to that and then clad other stuff onto it, and that'll allow me to have a wall I can put pins into and do things like that. So yeah. A lot of different ideas and things to develop and play around with, but this structure is now basically nominally watertight. Remains to be seen once it rains if we've got any major leaks or anything. I'm hoping, because of the way I built this time, that we won't have the issues we had last time. A lot of sealant being used in all of the joints where water might get in, so remains to be seen, but I'm pretty confident we should be alright. So yeah, as I said before, I'm going to take a bit of a break. This may actually be the last of these vlogs for a wee while on the V2 build. And just, or maybe I'll do another one tomorrow once I've done some more painting and stuff, just to show you the exterior looking a bit neater and stuff, because rough as guts at the moment. Fucking salmon, I hate this colour, it's so bad. But yeah, I'm going to take a wee break for a bit, get back to just focusing on my normal job, doing bar work and stuff, because I must admit, like, you're working sort of anywhere between 6 and 10 hours a day doing this kind of stuff. I'm a wee dude. I must admit, I'm actually starting to bulk up a little bit doing this, even over a course of a week, and just eating heaps of steak and shit, because it's just lift, saw, sand, do this, do that all the time. Like, my arms and my back and everything just aches all the time. And then I've got to go to work and do another shift of anywhere between 2 hours if I'm lucky, and more like 8 if I'm not. So, somewhere in between those two stages of things, we get some sleep. Also, I haven't done any art. My main job actually is being an artist, and I really enjoy being an artist, and I haven't done any art in about 2 weeks, maybe 2.5 or so, which kind of affects my mental well-being and sense of self. I'm getting a little bit, existential crisis on it. So yeah, going to take a bit of a break. Sorry to those of you who are following along and wanted to see a finished result quick. I did too, but I just want to do a bit of self-care, kind of mental health process, and just get this cleaned up well enough to be inside of, get my bed in here, get my gear in, and I'll do a sort of a stage 2 of this V2 project, doing the interior fit out, putting lights and solar in, and doing all that other crap at some other point, within the next 2 weeks to a month. I won't be waiting ages to do it, but I just want a bit of a break. And just to focus on some artwork for a bit and do that. And I've got enough of a structure here to be able to pull it off. It just doesn't look that nice on the inside. or the outside at the moment. Salmon. So yeah, we'll do that. And also the other advantages, that means I'll have, you know, sort of, I'd say a minimum of 2 or 3 days living in this structure, just seeing what it's like, check for leaks, see what it's like when it's cold, how fast it warms up just with me in it, various other things like that without insulation. Have a bit of a sit around in here during the day and also the evening, drawing, and get a sense of where the light is during the day. Obviously that's pretty obvious, isn't it, like right there. But you know, where I want my work lights to be for various projects that I'm working on and things like that, art wise, and just sort of how I want to set up the interior. And that will give me a bit more of an idea about, for instance, where I want to run wires for lights, you know, where I'm going to put the cabling for my fans, where I'm exactly along this wall I'm going to put my solar panels, and a bunch of other stuff like that. So, because it's really annoying if you like pull that effort in to build something like this, and then you sort of get halfway through using it, go, oh no, I want to modify this because that doesn't work that well, and it's a pain in the neck. So this way around, I just sort of take a little bit longer with the process, but get a better result. So yeah. Anyway, it's enough waffle for me. I'm going to go back to drinking my beer and taking a break from sanding because my arms hurt, and then I'm going to do some more sanding, and then I'm going to go have a shower and some food and go to work, like my other work. God, that's weird. So like technically I have 4 jobs at the moment. Like, well, one of them's my job, like building this, and I'm a tattooist sometimes, and I'm an artist, and I'm a barman glassy at one bar at the moment, but I've also started doing relief work at another bar, so you could almost stretch that to say I have 5 jobs. I certainly have 3.5. I'm a busy wee chap. It's unusual for a guy who, you know, less than 2 years ago was living on the street and only doing art. So life has certainly improved. Thanks once again to my patron and all the people who've helped me with this stuff. Sorry to all you that it isn't looking that pretty yet, but I assure you it will be nice, neat, black and cool looking soon. You just need a bit of a break. So yep, I'll possibly get back to you with another video tomorrow. Other than that, keep checking on the YouTube, and I'm sure if you're subscribed to my channel or whatever the fuck, you'll get updates when I've got more videos available of this construction process. If anyone wants to contact me with questions on how to do this kind of thing, or offers of help, or just anything, your best bet is actually to contact me on Facebook. It's Ben Sampey, same spelling as it is on these YouTube videos. And yeah, just look me up on there. I don't run privacy settings or anything much on Facebook. I don't really give a shit about Cambridge Analytics or anyone else. So yeah, I'm very easy to contact. I'm also contactable on Instagram. Again, same name, Ben Sampey. That's S-A-M for mother, P-E-Y. And yeah, that's all I can think of to chuck in today's video. One last look at the salmon. Ugh. God, I've got to sand that shit off. Right, you guys have a good one. Bye.